words of my mouth. May the words of my mouth, the words of my mouth. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Adonai, my rock and my Redeemer.
You might not remember, but that beautiful Yehiyu Ratzon was composed by our very own wonderful choir director, Klaus Georg. Wow, so nice to hear that again. Thank you, Klaus. As I said, the first part of our Torah portion begins with the words, Har Sinai, on Mount Sinai, and then it goes on to talk about all these things that are mundane in some ways in the world, what we're going to do and how we interact with each other, maybe not so mundane, but really about earthly activities. And it begins with this idea of being on the mountain. And as I said in our meditation, it's about being able to translate those spiritual moments into our lives that makes us into the human beings we most want to be. Klaus Georg is one of those wonderful human beings who can take those ethereal, spiritual, amazing things that happen in the mountain and somewhere above and beyond and bring it into reality. That is how I always feel about your music, Klaus. That you are in touch with a deep spiritual vein in the universe, and you're able to translate that into music that comes down to us and then lifts us up to where you are. And that in addition to being so incredibly talented musically and being able to uplift us in the way so we can be on the mountain with you, it also takes someone to be an amazing conductor who can do all the nitty-gritty of what it means to run a choir. That in order to have those moments, you have to have somebody who is well organized. Check. Somebody knows how to find the best singers and recruit them and make sure that they're here. Check. Someone who can work with many cantors over many years and know how to work with every single person in their own way and to get the best out of them. Check. Klaus, you are really an amazing, amazing talent. And you have all of these skills that are able to translate it into what we've needed here at Beth Emmet. That even during the pandemic, who do you think put together those amazing videos in which everybody looked like in their Hollywood square boxes, but it all came together so beautifully? We didn't outsource that to anyone else because Klaus Georg could do that for us. Whatever was needed, Klaus was able to do. And with good humor and with his kind heart, all of us who know and love you for all these years know that you are the consummate mensch, a good, decent, kind-hearted human being. That is you, Klaus. I know I should probably learn how to say that in Italian, but you must have some German roots in you too, so mensch is a good word as well as the Yiddish. But frankly, the fact that you also have learned Hebrew. Have you ever heard how Klaus pronounces Hebrew? Better than most native Israelis. Certainly better than most of us Americans who try to get through our Hebrew. He gets up there and sings, and people have commented to me, really? He's not Jewish? Really? He didn't grow up speaking Hebrew? Like, no, he just has that kind of ear and that kind of deep sense, because to learn a language, you have to be in someone who's in tune with the sounds. And that's why you do it so beautifully. But that the sounds don't just come from the ear, they come from your heart and your very, very deep soul. Klaus, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It has been wonderful that even though we've worked with many people over the years, you and I have been here all these years together, and I can tell you how much I've appreciated that and how much I've loved that and how much I will miss you not being here on the High Holy Days. But as I said before, it's never goodbye, it's always Lihitrot. Because Klaus sings and performs all over the city. Thank God you're not going anywhere. So, we may show up at the opera or down at Grant Park or who knows where, but we will be there cheering you on and being enriched and uplifted by you. This week in our tour, we finish reading the book of Leviticus, Bahar, and then the second part of our parasha is called Bechukotai. And when we complete a book of Torah, we say these words, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. Be strong, and may we strengthen one another. In all these years, you have strengthened us in so many ways, Klaus, and uplifted us and come down to us. May we continue to be strengthened by the amazing legacy that you leave of deep and beautiful music and your menschlich soul that will always be in the walls of this sanctuary. Toda Rabbah. May you go from strength to strength and continue to strengthen all those you come into contact with as you gave to us. Thank you.
Over the last 4 years, I've gotten to know Klaus on a personal and a professional and a spiritual level. And anytime you go to a new job, when I came here in 2019, it's a daunting task, and all the more so for clergy because when their contracts start, it's July 1st, and then two and a half months later, you have the high holidays, so you really have to hit the ground running. So I was incredibly grateful at how both Klaus and Barb welcomed me and were so flexible in the selection of music and accommodating some of the pieces I wanted to add, giving so much of their time and their energy to me. And When COVID hit and we all had to figure out what we were doing, Klaus embodied one of the greatest lessons I've learned at how to be a good partner, and that is to say yes. Not always, but yes should be the rule, not the exception to the rule. And as the rabbi mentioned, we had to figure out a way to involve the choir, because it really would have been a shame to just hear me for every piece through the high holidays. And fortunately, Klaus had not just the musical acumen, but the technical acumen as well. And so we were able to put on a really spectacular, in-house, fully digitally edited service, because he said, yes, yeah, I can do that. Let's make this work. And I value that so much in you as a friend and a partner. I was freaking out inside a little bit, and you calmed my nerves, and you made it happen. I'm so incredibly grateful for that. And it was through that, we'd known each other, I think, for 2 years at that point, just about. And he had mentioned he got this new computer to do the video editing. And you all know by now that I'm a big tech nerd, so I'm like, okay, well, what are the specs of the computer? What did you get? And he referenced some of the hardware in it that made me realize, wait a second, you're not just using this for video editing, are you? And so we found that we had a mutual love of video games, and I can tell you his taste in video games is phenomenal. So I'm going to speak in code for a second here. So from both of us have RTX 3080s, or you might have a 3070. We were able to talk about CP 2077, RDR2, and then to come out of that code talk, our mutual affinity, our love for soccer. He's not a EPL fan, he's roots for Roma, but we'll see each other in the Champions League, maybe. Of all the personal and professional things that I love and admire about Klaus, the thing that stood out to me most, and the rabbi hinted at this, is pronunciation of the Hebrew is phenomenal. And even the transliteration, I never had to think, well, is he going to get this right? No, he nailed it every time. The thing that struck me, and I distinctly remember it, it seared into my head. I was standing here during the high holidays. I don't remember which service it was. It was 2022. And he was standing right there. And he was reciting Kaddish from memory. And that to me was just the ultimate testament to how much he respects this community and this religion. And it's one thing to come in and just put on the kippah as a sign of solidarity or support, but to learn the words by heart, only hearing 7-8 times a year for 16 years. It's still just so impressive. And when we were sharing Shechiana moments, after Barbara and I went, the rabbi said, I'm just happy to be here to celebrate this mensch. And there's no better word to embody you. So thoughtful, so caring, so giving of your time. We struggled to figure out if we were going to be able to put the choir together this year, because Klaus had a new job. He was so busy. And he was willing to make that extra effort, that extra time to accommodate. And, how many people could do that? Balancing all of the personal obligations with the family and the new work obligations to make all that time just to be here one last year. That's beyond words. So for your guidance, for your friendship, for your musicianship, thank you. It's been a real pleasure. I wish I could take you with me to LA, man. And I also just want to acknowledge 3 people who were in the choir for many years with Klaus, who helped make this evening possible. Ellen, David, and Rebecca, I'd like to invite you up to say a few words, and then Barb as well. Or if one of you wants to speak on behalf. But all of them helped me organize this, so if you want to come up to be recognized otherwise. David, you're the man.
Yeah, I've been nominated to the. I don't have anything prepared. I didn't know I was going to say something, but I mean, all I can say is I've had the benefit of singing with Klaus under his guidance in the choir, and it's such a remarkable experience, in part because it's hard to describe. I mean, you've heard Klaus sing, you've watched him, but the level of musicianship that Klaus has, being able to hear every single voice, every single note in the choir, no matter who you are. There can be 20 people there, and he's able to single somebody out. And you know what? In all the years that I've been in the choir, I don't think I ever saw Klaus do anything that would in any way do other than teach or educate somebody, get them to be better. Never in the least did anybody feel unwelcome or anything like that. It was, it has been an incredible privilege to sing under you. And you know, part of it is that you really have been the best in terms of, as I say, teaching and displaying what music is all about. But part of it is, as both the Rabbi and the Cantor have said, it's who you are as a person. There has never been a day that I've seen where you haven't had a smile ready for everybody. No matter what is going on, you're a calm amidst the storm. It's been our privilege to sing with you, and thank you for all you've done and for the guidance that you've given in terms of our next choir director as well, who we hope will follow in your footsteps. Rebecca, Ellen?
Are you, ditto. I can't say anything that hasn't already been said. I'll just add that even though my voice is shot, no, that can that listening to you all tonight from the peanut, no, I shouldn't say that, from the, you know, the cheap seats. Was so incredibly moving, and it adds so much spirituality to the collective of us to experience it, and you're going to be hard shoes to follow here. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, one thing I should have added that I don't think we explicitly said, many of you know this, but it's important, and that is that the last piece that we performed, the Yehu, is Klaus's own work. And so, you know, we chose that because it's a beautiful, gorgeous work. And in fact, it's typical Klaus. When we first said we were going to perform the work, Cantor, wherever he is, there you are. The Cantor was really, really concerned about this work. This work is so complex and so complicated. How can you possibly do this? But as it turns out, it's eminently singable. And so it was, again, Klaus in a nutshell.
So I'm glad we got the band back together. Klaus, on behalf of all of us, I'm honored and privileged that I get to present a gift to you tonight. It's a small token of our appreciation for all of the countless hours of hard work, dedication, and passion that you've poured into Beth Emmet for more than 15 years. This gift, when you come up to get it, symbolizes our gratitude, respect, and our admiration for you. We'd also like to thank you for all the beautiful music that you've shared with us, including your Yehiyu L'Ratzon, which I personally consider to be a masterpiece. Under your guidance, our choir has soared to new heights, bringing us moments of joy, inspiration, and a sense of community that is truly priceless. We will really miss you and all the talent you bring to this choir. And of course, we will really miss hearing all your stories about Henry and Oliver. We're really going to miss that. I asked everybody in the choir to send me a word or a short sentence that they felt for you, and so I have it here, and I'm going to read them to you. Donna Lowndy, Klaus is the best of all the many conductors I've sung with. Michelle Oxman, Klaus inspired us to be the very best we could be musically. Ellen, patience is her word. Faye Lipschultz, I will always be grateful to you for creating in me the love of singing in a choir. Mark Antman, an incredible 15 plus years of dedication to your favorite side hustle at Beth Emmet. We can't thank you enough. Rebecca Rouse, consummate professional with an abundance of patience. You will be missed. Jack Levy, I'm so glad that I had these many years of singing with Klaus. He's a sensitive and wonderful choir leader. I wish him great luck in his new situation. Daniel Crown, Klaus guides us to understand the musicality of a piece, but also helps us to understand the spirituality of the music. Michael Orenstein, you take us to musical levels we never knew we could reach. David Graham, precise and demanding in his musicianship, but always generous, warm, and with a smile at the ready. Alan Teller, Klaus's passion, knowledge, professionalism, and respect for whatever level we were at made us strive to be better singers. Michael Cavalieri, he also has a whole book he wrote for you too. Klaus brings his intellect, wisdom, experience, and artistic abilities to all music he engages with, sharing generously with his choirs, his colleagues, and his students. Lindy Rubin, best kind of teacher, best kind of teacher, honestly knowledgeable, fine musician of experience in his prime, a privilege and a pleasure. Thank you. Handsome and nice, too. And finally, Elsa Gould. Klaus balances his significant talent as a vocalist and conductor with his kindness and humility, as a person in a way that both earns him professional respect and makes him a beloved member of our community. He will be dearly missed. So if you'd like to come up, I have a gift for you, or we have a gift for you. Do you want to talk about it?
It's engraved inside and out.
Engraved. On the front it says, "Thy people shall be my people," Beth Emmet Choir. And it's a beautiful baton.
This is the pencil.
That's right. I can't put this one behind my ear. Oh, and it has my name on it engraved on the wood. Beautiful. Thank you.
I'll give you this.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think it's your turn.
Is it my turn? All right. I have a few things. Where'd I put it? Here we go. So 22 years ago, right around this time of year, as the semester was ending, I was at Washington University in St. Louis, and my voice teacher said that there was a synagogue in town looking for a choir director. And I think they thought that they were probably going to get a Jewish choir director because it was Washington University in St. Louis, but they got me. And that was my introduction to Judaism. Before that, I had been in a synagogue exactly one time for a bar mitzvah of one of my friends in high school, or in middle school. And this was a very challenging situation to step into. It was a conservative temple, no piano, no instruments at all. We were behind the curtain, behind everything. And the cantor was a little bit nervous about the fact that I was actually gone the summer leading up to the holidays. I was in Italy. He was a little bit nervous about the fact that I had never done the music, that I didn't know the tradition, that my name wasn't Klaus Goldstein. But it all went very well, and they had me back. And I fell in love with the tradition. I fell in love with the music. I fell in love with the matzo ball soup. My wife very brilliantly observed this theological nugget that there are two kinds of religions in the world: the drinking religions and the non-drinking religions. And so Catholicism and Judaism are actually very closely related, and we are both drinking religions, and we're basically the same thing, right? And also, Yiddish comes relatively naturally to me because many of these words we use in German too. Mensch, schleppen, which is very useful when you're leading a choir rehearsal, schmaltz, kitsch, oy vey, right? So it all came very naturally to me, but it also, as you have observed, it also moved me in a way that few kinds of music do. And so you were right. I took the time to learn the words and the meanings of the prayers and connect to the music, because otherwise, what's the point? I think this music, and the community of making the music together is fundamental. And so when we moved to Chicago in 2005 and got married, I sang at a temple, Kol Ami. It's now defunct. It was down in Water Tower Place. I did that for a couple of years through some connections that I had. And then when the position came up at Beth Emmet and I found out about it, I thought, hey, this is my chance to get back in front and conduct. I love to do this. So I came, and that's how it all started. I have been through 5 cantors just here at Beth Emmet. I have witnessed the building of this beautiful new sanctuary. We have survived a pandemic. But I want to just point out a couple of the highlights of what I remember from these 16 years. In 2008, the choir commissioned a piece, which, by the way, we should probably resurrect one of these years. Shiru Ladonai was commissioned for Judy Wodeka, a choir member, longtime choir member who I worked with briefly, and she passed away, I think in early 2009, 2008, I don't remember the exact year, but we sang this piece, Shiru Ladonai, in her honor. That was a real highlight. In 2009, in September, my first son's due date was Rosh Hashanah. So that was a memorable high holidays, but he very kindly decided to be born a little bit late and made it right in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So the high holidays actually happened just fine. We had Plan B all in place. What do we do if Marie goes into labor on Rosh Hashanah, the day before, the day after? We had it all figured out. And then in 2011, I had the honor of conducting a concert here of all music by the Jewish composer Salomone Rossi, kind of a Renaissance-era Italian Jewish composer, which actually got me kind of interested in Italian Jewish composers. And so the following year, I gave a concert and lecture recital on Castelnuovo Tedesco, an Italian Jewish composer, who then became the topic of my dissertation at Northwestern. So that was, again, another real highlight in my time here. And then in 2018, I had the opportunity to write some music of my own, which I hadn't really done since college. So I was happy to write that Yu Lerotzon and also arrange a couple pieces. So I just want to conclude by saying thank you back to you. Thank you for welcoming me with open arms, for not asking me to change my last name to Goldstein, for supporting music in general, the power of music to connect people of different faiths, of different ideologies. Music brings us together, especially when we are making it together. And for supporting that, for having faith in me to lead you in that, but also just in general for always supporting music and the arts at Beth Emmet. And thank you especially for all the good that you do in the community and the world, really, also in from a non-musical perspective. Specifically, Rabbi London, thank you for being such a strong and progressive leader. It really has been an inspiration to hear you year after year after year. Thank you to Barb for always, where are you? There you are, for always having our backs. I know it was very scary when we said, hey, why don't you play the high holidays? But I can't imagine anybody else playing them now. I mean, it's been really wonderful. Thank you to the choir. Thank you all for being here. A wonderful turnout. You sound great. And finally, thank you, Cantor Cotler. Thank you, Kyle, for being such a wonderful musical collaborator. I find it hilarious that you thought I was the calm one, kind of talking you down from the ledge, because I feel like if there's one thing that defines Kyle as a human being, it's that he is calm no matter what craziness is going on around him. And that has really helped me personally. And I have to say, I know I'm not supposed to rank you, but I'm pretty close to pushing double digits on cantors I've worked with, and I have to say you have been the most enjoyable cantor I've ever worked with. So thank you very much again, and for the wonderful gift as well, and for the 16 years. And I'll probably be